there or maybe some scheduling conflicts. We work around that. That said, though, we would love to have you on. So if you would like to be on, you can reach out to myself, the host, Chris Tice, or co-host Jim T. Chong, the Walk Star, or Mike Van Pelt, True Man, host of the True Man podcast, True Man Life Coaching, and which we'll be doing a little more introductions later. You also hear how you can get a hold of them, or if you already know them, reach out, hop on the show with us, and enjoy these wonderful topics that we've been discussing. And this whole year, it'll bleed into next year because silly me didn't accommodate for holidays when I wrote the content of us not being on every Monday. We have had several topics centering around one central theme, and that's leaders are. And we kicked it off with these main categories of leaders are servants, which all of us believe we should all be servant leaders. And that had some subcategories of faithful and authentic and givers and forgivers, passionate, compassionate. And then we moved on and just finished up last week with leaders are skilled. And these were various skills that some are must have, some are maybe you need to work on it, some if you don't have quite a strength in it, that's okay. And that could go across the board for any of these. But if there's some of these must-haves we've talked about, you can go back to previous episodes. They're all recorded in the Facebook group for Global Cooperative Chamber. A little shout out to them. Thank you for helping us host this. But if it's something that's a must-have and you need some help in it, you can reach out to any one of us. We'd love to help you. We'd love to. And it's a joy to us to help others and see others succeed. Now that word is going to have a different kind of meaning after today for us and for this time. Because today we are kicking off a new main category. There are 4 total main categories to this material. And its leaders are winners. Now I thought about playing in the background, and I got to think I'd probably get in trouble for copyright for playing the, I just forgot his name. So I definitely shouldn't have played it. Wiz Khalifa, all I do is win, win, win. Right? Is that him? Is that Wiz Khalifa?
All I do is win, win, win.
Yeah, I think
win,
that's
win.
right.
Anyways, I don't want to get in trouble, so we're going to leave it at that. But that said, leaders are winners. Now, here's the fun part to leaders are winners. I'm going to run through all the subcategories real quick here for you all. And that's goal setters, determined, dedicated, committed, strong-willed, and then there's another one for strong, because there are some differences in that, as well as focused, driven, enthusiastic, connectors, and goal getters. Notice we kick it off with goal setters, and we end it with goal getters.
Love it.
When you're doing all these things prior to this, you start to see success really kick in. And always stack your wins. Don't stack losses. Learn from losses. That way you don't lose. You learn from them, you can move on, and you start to see the winning pattern. You start to meet new people. You start to reach new heights. You start to meet different positions and start to understand the development that's necessary in a leader. So that way, when the winning kicks in and you can start singing that song loudly and proudly, if you want, if you so choose, you can go to karaoke with Jim Chong if you're in the greater Sacramento area. And yeah, you're welcome. Shout out. You can really start to see the impact that's created in this. See, a lot of these last ones, although they meet all 3 great eyes of leadership, many of the last topics we've been covering for the better part of almost 3/4 of a year were all about the influence, the positive influence that we have on people, being compassionate for them, being passionate with them, learning from them, teaching them, guiding them, strengthening them. Now we really start to see the impact in the winning. And so to kick this off, Mike, I'm going to throw it to you this week. What is winning to you as a leader? And this can cover, I know I'm being very general here, which is perfectly fine because we'll deep dive into all this in the next coming months, actually. But generically speaking today, to kick off the main category, what's winning to you?
Well, I think it starts with mindset. I think it starts with mindset, because if you don't have a winning mindset, nobody's going to follow you. so then you're really not much of a leader. So, what are you feeding yourself as a leader? What are you reading? What are you studying? What are you looking at? What are the words that you choose to think about, to say? I think all of those things are, where it starts. It's a true leader is it's gonna start from within, and that's where I think it starts, Chris. I think it's that winning mindset. I tried it the other way; it doesn't work.
That makes more than one of us, that's for sure on my end too. And I love that you said true leader, because one of the things we believe here is being true to ourselves so we can be true to others. When you do that, you are a true leader. And having the right mindset walking in, it's absolutely everything. You build on all these other topics we've been talking about in the past. And if you want to know all of them or want to dive deeper, reach out to me and we'll definitely connect and I'll help you through that, as well as these gentlemen can too. It's, the thing is without the right mindset, achievement really doesn't happen. Hey, this is a quote I wrote a while back for myself and then decided to publicly post it and actually got a little bit of traction out of it, for not, having the little blue check mark on my social media to, somehow purchase 10,000 people to follow me. But, oh wait, I'll leave that alone. But the thing is I considered it a huge win because I didn't have that check mark. And I'm not knocking anyone that's done that, by the way. I'm just saying I don't have it. So to get the traction that this quote got was a huge win for me. And what it was you can either make excuses or you can make achievements. But it's up to you. You're the one that chooses that. And if you don't have a winning mindset for the times that you do lose, or you don't quite make it as far as you thought you would, you may not come back. You may just sift out into the shadows. And that is not what we were created for. We were created fearfully and wonderfully made. That's greatness. That's greatness. Period. The one who breathed life into us said, make them in our image. Give them this, give them that, give them the earth. Have them take care of it. Have them take care of each other. And so having that right mindset is paramount to being a leader, because you want to create that impact so it inspires others to do the same thing. There are sometimes we have people for our entire lifetime. There's sometimes they're only for part of it, and there's sometimes they're for a very small bit of it. But the impact is the legacy you leave with them. And as a leader, it is your job to show them what it means to have a winning mindset and not giving up and quitting. Don't get me wrong, there is a difference between adjusting and pivoting versus quitting. There's a huge difference. Something I'm teaching and working on with my kids right now because they're trying different sports and doing different things. Like, oh, Dad, I'm not very good at that. I don't want to do it. Well, you're going to finish because we don't quit. When you're finished, that's fine. We'll pivot into something else. So Jim, what does winning mean to you? Winning also includes unmuting your mic.
Yeah, he's overwhelmed.
There we go. All right.
That's a strong mindset.
Winning.
Burn it through to us as a screen.
That's it. Winning is on the forefront. For me, it's on the forefront, in the lead. Hey, i.e. leadership. And I think that's the real tie-in for me. It's just basically setting the pace and ahead of everyone else. So that is a definition. Winning is something that you have gained some benefit for as well. Like, hey, I won through it. I may have lost X amount, but I gained an experience. I won because I gained or benefited somehow. So there's the absolute definition that I say, setting the pace, leading the pack, being in front, or there's the fact that you've just benefited.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. And that got me to thinking about a story about my own mindset when I was in college. And I was the leader of the group. And I believe I've shared this a few times here, but I think it's pivotal to where our conversation is going. I was the leader of the group. Now, I had worked through a lot of stuff. I still was a professional pessimist and something I wasn't proud of. And we had this big cookout, which was supposed to be a way to draw people to come check out what we're up to and what we're doing. And I'm looking around, it's kind of gray outside. It's Kansas, so you never know, it could rain. So I went negativity there. Well, then I started getting these messages from the president of the student body that all these other clubs were all meeting on the same night. No one had caught it. No one had said, hey, such club, you should probably meet on Tuesday, such club, you meet on Sunday, whatever, which we always had Sunday. And it was, one group was doing donuts. This is like college. Another group was doing pizza. Another group was doing Chipotle, and we were doing burgers and hot dogs. And I was like, college kids, pizza, donuts, Chipotle, this is gonna hurt. And I was already walking around defeated. And it wasn't until the professor looked at me and he held up the spatula towards me. He said, you're the most pessimistic person I've ever met. And I looked over at my fellow officers who I served with, as well as some other of the students that showed up to help set up to get their community service points. And they were slow moving. I mean, you want to talk about setting up a losing mindset. And we weren't losers by any means. No one is. And I just walked over and I had to regather the troops. And I said, this is on me. We're not going to let this happen. I'm not going to let this happen again. I'm very sorry. And obviously I have some things to work on. Now, keep in mind, I was in psychology club. My professor was the psychology teacher. He used to say we had a wonderful session in his office on Tuesday after this happened. And I mean that. I had to learn from it. And that was one of the first times where he goes, what did you learn? And here I thought I was a great leader. I did pretty good in a lot of instances, but obviously still had some things to work on. And I said, it's the biggest thing I learned was I needed to walk in with a winning mindset. He goes, exactly. Thank you. That was after an hour of talking with a psychologist. But we had fun doing it. And that's the big thing for everybody to understand is when we get into Leaders Are Legendary, which is our final main topic, which will be a couple months down the road, the first one we're actually going to talk about is Leaders Are Fun. You've seen us joking and laughing before the thing even starts because we're already having fun with each other. Or we do it here live while we're talking. But the thing is, it's because we come in with a winner's mindset. There are so many things in my life of people or communities I would not have impacted if I would have walked around, and we kicked this off a long time ago, picking on old Eeyore. If I walked around with an Eeyore mindset, oh, bother. Oh, come on. We don't need to walk around like that. How else are you going to get better and help make other people? How do we make this world a better place? And so, Jim, to your point of leading with winning, it doesn't have to be, and this is the next direction I want to take this. It doesn't have to be this we win at all costs sort of thing.
Right.
We aren't here to cheat. We don't want to cheat people out of what they can learn. I'm going to bring up, our arguably the greatest basketball player has ever walked planet Earth and ever will for the time being, period. Number 23, number 9, number 45, back to number 23, Michael Jordan. Because here's the thing. Can you imagine being the high school coach who cut Michael Jordan? And Michael could have said, you know what? Maybe this basketball thing wasn't for me. Or, okay, I'll just play when I can and call it good. No, he said, I did this because I want to win. That's because he had it instilled in him by his parents. So what did he do? He practiced extra. He worked harder. He knew more losses would come. He knew it would happen. He lost plenty of times in the NBA. Not many, but he did lose. But he always had that mindset of a champion, that mindset of a winner, that mindset of a leader that says, we're going to win. Even if we lose, we still win. And I think that's the greater point of what Jim was saying was even when we have some things that don't go our way, we can still look at it as a win. So, Mike, how do we overcome those potential losses or those missteps? I don't use the word failure. Maybe it's a mistake. How do we overcome these things so we get back into the mindset of a winner?
I think it takes work, which is exactly what Michael Jordan did when he was cut from his basketball team. He went to work. Back in my basketball days, we used to use the phrase bend your back and go to work, which we referred to as a good defensive posture. But it is about going to work on yourself. And that takes a lot of patience, perseverance, and intentionality. These things don't happen overnight, at least for most of us. It takes a little work. It takes, going through a few losses. And it's the people that figure out a way to fight through and overcome these losses, that really get ahead in life. I'll tell you an interesting story. This happened to me the other day. I was telling somebody a week from now, well, this will be the second day. So I'm going to take a shot here. I'm trying to do a little work on myself. So I'm going to go through they clean this up. You like how they did it, a 21-day purification program. And I was telling somebody that I was going to go through this, and what an interesting perspective they gave me. They're like, Mike, how many podcasts? We were talking about the podcast too at the same time. How many podcasts have you done? Well, as a matter of fact, I put out number 125 today. And so we were talking about that. And he goes, how did you do that? And I'm like, well, it's just a matter of showing up every day and getting the job done. Right. And he goes, because I had said to him, well, 21 days just seems like forever. I don't know how I'm ever going to survive that. He goes, well, 21 days doesn't really sound like a lot after 125 episodes, does it?
Ouch.
And I'm like, wow, thank you for keeping me accountable. So will it be a challenge? Sure, it's going to be a challenge. And in fact, that is exactly why I'm doing it. I've never done anything like that. Truthfully, I feel like that chocolate chip cookies and donuts are attracting me like a magnet. So it's not really my fault. Right? but I want to test myself as a leader. I want to test myself. Can I discipline myself, to get the job done? Now, there's a lot of things going on there. It's also a faith journey for me, and I'm intentionally making it a faith journey as I leave for a retreat on Wednesday night. I won't be back till Sunday. And you see how this works together. It works congruently. This is very intentional heading into the fourth quarter. So, of the year. So, I'm going to do a little work. I'm going to do a little work on myself to try to take myself to a whole other level. And that's what it takes.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Something you said in there that I liked. You said, I want to challenge myself. Great leaders do that. They want to challenge themselves, so they find more ways to win. They find more ways to win. And again, it's not, if it's coming from a perspective of I'm better than someone else or I'm better than you or however you're not going to win in the long run. I'm just going to be honest with you right then and there. That's kind of like saying you have an open door policy, but you never open the dang door. Or saying that you'll listen or that you'll learn from each other, that you'll communicate with each other and not share the stories of how you got there. Share the losses. Bring that authenticity and that vulnerability. Share the wins too. This is how I won. And if you listen to people of success or people who've gone through anything, they're going to talk about the losses. My goal in that when I share my losses is so you don't make the same mistake. You may make new mistakes and we may need to get through that. And that's okay, because ultimately we're all going to win if that's how we set our mind. I love a good challenge. I love going to the next stage or next step. I love it. And I know it's not going to be perfect. However, as I get through it, even to what Mike said in loving a challenge, and to what Jim was saying earlier about maybe this isn't exactly how I thought it was going to go, but what did I learn from it?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, Jim, as we start to begin to wrap up here, that I want to ask you, because you're all about building teams, and as he fixes his headphones there, one of the things, Jim, is how important is it to understand that we're not alone in doing this? Yes, Michael Jordan may, at the end of the night, might have started dribbling around the chairs. But if you really listen to his story, you listen to the people that are around him, you start to realize all those that helped him get to where he got. He's even said it himself without, oh my gosh, I almost said Phil Knight, which technically is true too because of Nike, but Phil Jackson as his head coach. If Phil hadn't reeled him in on a few things in his leadership and how he approached people and how he approached winning, do we have the same Michael Jordan? We do. So the important thing to hear is to understand winning's not done alone. This self-made stuff, I hate that term, by the way. I really do. Because there's no such thing. Are there things that you are called to do? Is there something unique that you brought to the table? Sure. If you've truly made it, you have not won this all by yourself. No two ways about it. So how important is it, Jim, to understand that winning requires effort and work, like Mike said, but also the understanding that it may take having other people or other resources around you too?
It's really important that people do understand it. I mean, that's the answer. And the whole thing is, I'm going to define winning. This is a great question. I love the way you conduct this. Winning, I'm going to define as accomplished, being able to say I've accomplished whatever I set out to accomplish. Okay. That's the definition I'm going to use. Hey, if my goal was to get up in the morning by a certain time and I did it, I won. Would you agree? Okay. That's how I'm getting it. So really in accomplishing anything, maybe most things you might be able to do on your own, but if you want to get there quicker and do it better and assure success and even make it scalable, you have to have a team by definition. And the whole thing is that Even for me, I operate as more of a hub these days than as a spoke. A spoke might be, true man. Mike is a spoke. He's very good at that one thing. And I'm not saying that's the only thing he's good at. My point is that is, about true man, I'm going to use him as a reference. I'm going to go to him and say, learn what I need to know. And here's the cool thing about it. I don't have to know anything, but because I know Mike, I know everything. Leadership, true leadership, like what we talk about, Chris, in the beginning when we started. The whole thing is that I can say, hey, we created this. I can say, you're doing the work. I came up with the idea, and you know what I mean when I say that.
No, we pieced this together.
Yeah, we pieced this together. But ultimately, probably wouldn't be doing this if we didn't nudge it and make it happen. Now, I didn't do my part because I'm on your team, but ultimately, you're doing the work because you're the spoke in this. You're the professional in this. This gets done with or without me, guys. Arguably, I have the access to the Zoom meetings, or I'm sorry, excuse me, this new platform meeting. So that's what I provide. But in general, Chris, I really don't have to be here. I believe I play a significant part. Mike plays a significant part. But really, this can go on with or without me. And the cool thing is, it continues. May not be as good if one of us is missing, but the whole thing is it happens with or without us. The team aspect is so very important, because if you want something to be able to continue, you have to have a team by definition. Chris, even if you're not there, hey, now you're the master host, so I think there's a little bit of difference. But regardless, honestly speaking, Mike or I could probably conduct it. Probably wouldn't be as good, but we can keep it going if something did come up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, the internet goes out. Yeah, it's happened.
Yeah. So the whole thing is, it's all about if you want something to last. The team is if you want something to last, because I can pass it on to my son, next generations. They are part of my team, right? If I want to keep something going, but it dies with me if I don't have a team. So it's very important.
And I wholeheartedly agree. And I think the big thing to understand is, think of how much more fun winning is with other people.
Yep.
I've had some wins that were by myself. There are some things that I achieved or did or had been working on that, yes, other people were involved. But by the time the win hit, all of a sudden I was kind of just sitting by myself like, it worked, yes. Oh, I just said that to myself. And so what did I do? I reached out to some people. I was like, hey, I got to share this with you if it's okay. And here's one thing I want everyone to understand. Have a tight-knit circle.
Mm-hmm.
Have that group that is willing to celebrate with you, even if it does not directly impact or affect them. Have those that will cheer in your corner, even if it's the smallest of things. Hey, I achieved this today. And they cheer with you, not just for you, with you. And you, of course, return that with them. The whole term there was with, not to or for, with. Because the more you celebrate that, the more you train your brain to see winning as a good thing, especially when you're doing it in all the right ways, which we are going to cover as we continue on with this main category of leaders are winners. Mm. It's so important to do. And when other people see you doing it, they're going to want it too. Thus, we talk more about inspiration. It's got to come from the impact of understanding how important it is when it's done properly.
There you go.
Keyword. Seen a lot of arrogance ruin a lot of things by a leader because they did it wrong. Jim, final thoughts from you, and how do we get a hold of you?
I love this discussion of what you're talking about. And, I think we all want to be winners in everything that we do. And I appreciate this discussion because I don't want to take it lightly that the world, especially today, needs winners. They need people that can really lead the way, people that can really stand for something. Because if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything, right? And it's not about me, it's about we. And that's what we talk about, team. A winner, if you even the word, hey, Mike, do you want to be a winner? Do you want to be a winner, Mike? I mean,
Absolutely.
Who doesn't want to be a winner?
Absolutely.
Who doesn't? And so I want us to think about it. Chris, you've done a phenomenal job. I'm Jim T. Chong. You can look at me at jimtchong.com and also at zoomturtle.com. A lot of great things that are happening. Founder of the Global Cooperative Chamber. And I'm bringing this up more because you'll see kind of how things are coming together. But I appreciate what you do, Chris. I'm proud to be a part of your team. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Very honored to have you say that. And that's a huge win for me. We technically met by accident, folks. So maybe one of these days that'll come up on here. But then I wouldn't know Mike, and I wouldn't know so many other.
Yeah, there are no accidents, Chris. Come on now.
There are no accidents. No, I know. That's why I said it jokingly and smiled when I said it. God has a purpose and a plan and everything. It's just kind of weird how the whole thing went down. And 2 months later, this guy I met on a phone call, actually technically virtually, I met in Vegas in person. So never expected that in my life, but it was amazing. And so that said, because of Jim, I've also got to meet Mike, which is definitely been in my life and in my Juneau family now. And so, Mike, how do we get a hold of you and closing thoughts from you?
Yeah, I'm just glad Jim's got a crowd around him to cheer him on today.
They are cheering him on.
Yeah. So, there's so much that could be said about winning, and I look forward to having these conversations. But, I guess I would end with something that I said. Winning starts from within. And if you want people to follow you and you want to be a good leader, it starts with you. So, and that's what I feel like I'm a strength that I have in helping guide men so that they can work on themselves a little bit and be there, be the best dad and father and husband for their families. Lord knows we need stronger families in this country at this time.
You think?
But that's a whole other podcast. So anyway, you can get a hold of me at mike@truemanlifecoaching.com. You can go out to my website, truemanlifecoaching.com, and you will find the wonderful True Man podcast on there, and you can catch me on any major podcast channel.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And by the way, everybody, it hit me now. So if you're commenting earlier, DJ Khaled wrote that song. My fault.
Okay, got it.
The start of the song finally hit me because I was just stuck on the win part. But the fun part about winning is it's fun. It's fun. It feels good.
Yeah.
The days that you're not winning, find something to win in. Find something that went well. I guarantee you there was something. I don't care if it's I got up on time. I don't care if it was you're able to tie your shoes. I don't care if you went for a walk. Don't walk around a professional pessimist like I did. All it does is drag everyone else down, and now no one's winning. No one gets to feel that exhilaration. And I'm sure at some point in time there'll be more sports references to winning championships and stuff like that as we talk about it. It's not just about that, though. There's so many other wins that can come in life and come from life that happen for us. And so celebrate them. Stack the wins. I promise you, your days are brighter and brighter each and every day, and the people around you respond that way as well. And those that don't, you can begin to respectfully distance yourself from them, just as we say at Givers University, because it's going to happen. The thing is, stack those wins and you'll see it. Promise you. My name is Chris Tice. I'm the co-founder of Eagle Fire Enrichment, your leadership solutions company, and like talking all things leadership, whether it be one-on-one in the group setting or coming to speak. Love speaking inspiration over groups and seeing them rise up and help others rise up as well. You can reach me, Chris@eaglefireenrichment.com. Gentlemen, what an honor it is to serve with you and to win on here together. And next week, we're going to dive a little more specifically into different winning topics. And next week kicks it off with how do we become a winner by being a goal setter. Got to set your goals. Just a little nugget for next week. And until then, have your best day ever by making every day great. Remember, Kent never did. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jim. God bless us all.
Have your best day ever.